eventually everything's going to be digitized. Like our power grids are going to be faster, which we talked about that earlier. Our internet's going to be faster. Everything's going to be connected. So at that point, what do people need to do to make money? It's content creation.
Yep.
How can you create content to consume for the mass of everything?
Yep.
That's what the future's going to be.
It's going to be
that, or we all die in a hellhole fighting over old dinosaurs cramped in the ground.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, I don't think we really touched on this, is there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin ever.
Yeah.
21 million.
Yeah, the
Bitcoins.
inflation side of it.
Because you can't print more Bitcoin, people. That's the great thing. That's one of the best selling points on Bitcoin.
And we should get into hash rate.
Right.
Because that's all tied together.
That thing right there alone is something that should sell you on Bitcoin. Is what the problem we have today is inflation, and the reason we have inflation is because our government continues to print shitload of money, and it just devalues
out of thin air,
and it devalues the shit out of our dollar.
Think how much money that they're wasting, by the way.
Right.
Like Elon Musk made that comment about we use too much power. I did my research. You want to know something funny? Our gold reserves use more power than all the Bitcoin miners in the world. Our gold reserves, where gold is just stored,
right?
Nothing else.
21 million Bitcoin. That's it. That's the number it'll be, and it'll always stay that way.
Well, okay, we go back to that. I want to say this because all of you know, if you've listened to one podcast or you listened to 10 of them, but I'm a pretty big fan of Tesla, and I think Elon Musk is a pretty smart cat. And for the most part, I think he's very thoughtful in what he said. However, don't ever forget when he made that comment about Bitcoin, I thought it was very odd how he got really hot and then really cold kind of quickly.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to fight him over that.
Yeah, I did too. But you got to remember, do you know who one of the biggest investors in Tesla is? BlackRock. And my guess is that when he made that comment and he got all giddy on Bitcoin, and that really started to take, I'll bet you someone at BlackRock called him up and said, we'd really like for you to tone that down a little bit because we're not quite ready for that. Yeah. I just found that very odd, and BlackRock is very involved in the politics of this country, and don't take my word for it. Do your own digging.
It's all about what we say.
Yeah.
Politicians are pawns. The people that run this country and the world are the richest people in the entire world. They control what the hell's going on.
I mean, I can't wait to be one of them. I'm going to tell them to all hit the road. You're fired. You've screwed it up for everyone that's been here for hundreds of years. Yeah. Not just in recent memory, hundreds of thousands of years we've been on this fiat system and it doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah. Like if you can take only one thing away from me being on here besides like talking about Bitcoin, is the fact that our fiat system doesn't work.
All of the food we eat and much of the clothing we wear comes from plants and animals that are raised on farms. Farms are different in type, in size, and even in name.
Welcome to Barn Talk. What happens at the barn stays at the barn until now. We're going to let it all out for you guys. All I ask for you guys to do, if you got any value from the show at all, share it out to your friends, share it out to your coworkers, share it out to your family members. We're trying to grow this thing. We're trying to do some good in this world. We don't run ads for the show, and we're just kind of doing a value for value exchange. If you get anything from it, all we ask is for you to pay the fee and share the show. Here with my co-hosts, like always, Pops, Torque and More. Why don't you give them a little quick market update?
I will. So things have been kind of crazy around here. We're in the middle of harvest, so you may be listening to this. I don't even know what order you're going to be listening to this, but we missed a week. We just got too much going on. We're trying to do everything, so we had to skip out a week on Barn Talk, but thanks for sticking with us. Shout out to SwineWeb. SwineWeb is somebody that we we share a lot of thoughts back and forth, and you can find our stuff on their website. So if you're a hog farmer and you're looking for information about what's going on in the swine industry, go to SwineWeb. Jim Eady, shout out to you, Jim. You're doing a great job up there. Today's market update, and this would be the close on Friday from Cat's Grain. Shout out to Cat's Grain, Washington, Iowa. That's where we get our market update. But anyway, things changing rapidly. So the best corn price I could find was $5.30, and my guess is by the time you hear this, the basis will have eroded because we're right in the middle of harvest, so there's more corn coming down the pike all the time. $5.30 is what the best bid locally is for one of the feeders. Soybeans $11.95 an ADM in Burlington, and $12.14 if you want to cross the river. Wheat $7.57. I just leave wheat in because it's so damn high. Hogs 92, cattle 120. And somebody commented that I brag on the cattle price, but they say the cattle price really isn't that high if you're buying all the corn to feed these cattle, which I can believe that. We should get somebody on. We should get Kyle Menz.
Kyle Menz will be a good.
I don't know if we could bleep that much though. We'd just have to. You really wouldn't hear him because it'd just be a constant edit.
Explicit.
Yeah, pretty much. We'd have to put an explicit edit on that.
We can cuss a little bit on this one.
Yeah, that
TDF we're a little bit more clean, but this is where we can let it out a little bit.
Kyle, you'd have to say as clean as us, which I don't know whether you can do that or not. So this morning, so this is a current price. So Bitcoin, last time I checked, 47,900. So it's working back up. Ethereum, 3370. Tesla, ironically, Tesla, near and dear to my heart. Well, it's kind of funny how they had deliveries, and they delivered 241,000 cars.
Quarter three, right?
For Q3. Yep. Produced 238, which that's not quite so good because you can tell by that number they are fighting the chip shortage a little bit. But when you consider that GM deliveries or GM production was down 30%, I think, and Fiat Chrysler, I want to say like 19%, something like that. So pretty much Tesla's kicking everybody's ass. And today, all the analysts woke up and said, holy shit, Tesla's kicking everybody's ass. I can't believe it. Even though the rest of us knew that, they've been kicking everybody's ass for quite a while. So that's your market update. I worked through that as quick as I could because we've got a great show for you today, and we want to get into it as quick as we can. So today, by the title of this, I mean, we titled this Digging for Our Financial Future. And some of you may be scratching your heads a little. Some of you may think that we've just plain lost our minds because you don't know anything about Bitcoin or crypto or really don't keep up on the financial markets at all. But a few of you will know exactly what we're talking about. And by the time we're done, we hope a whole lot more of you realize what we're talking about and maybe do a little digging on your own and learn a few things. We're going to mine for knowledge about what might just be the greatest disruption coming. Well, it's not coming. It's already here. It's just as it ripples out what it does to the rest of the financial world as we know it. A few weeks ago, we had Craig Rupp on here, and he is what I would say on the bleeding edge of ag autonomy as far as autonomous planning, tillage, that kind of stuff. Well, today we've got someone that is on the bleeding edge of cryptocurrency. We hope that we bring you some knowledge and value on a subject that is full of FUD. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of doom and gloom when it comes to crypto, speculation, rumor, you name it. And that's Bitcoin and the mining of it. And so today we have Magnus Anderson, and he is a Bitcoin mining expert. And when I say expert, that sounds pretty good, but you're around Sawyer and I, so the bar is not all that high to be considered an expert. He's also a future NASCAR race team owner.
Hopefully.
Oh, I believe you're going to get there.
Hopefully.
Welcome to Barn Talk, Magnus.
Magnus, welcome.
Welcome, boys. Happy to be here. Definitely a really cool barn you got together here.
Yeah, we feel like this is probably the best use that we came up with because I didn't have to carry all the bales in here. I've hauled a lot of bales into this barn, and this is about the most leisurely experience that I've ever had here. So I've got my insulated glass with unknown beverage. Cheers to me.
Cheers to barn talk because it was a dream.
So we met you a few months ago, and shout out to Grant Hilbert, because if it wasn't for Grant, we would have never made this connection.
Yep.
And we actually toured a Bitcoin mine, and we're in the state of Iowa, Grundy Center, Iowa, and it literally Sawyer and I and my other son Clay, we all went and toured it with Grant. And I was just blown away.
We were absolutely fascinated.
It's really nuts.
It's crazy.
I was kind of godsmacked by it.
We left the place and we just were scheming. We were just like, we gotta.
We were cleaning all the cans. We went around. We picked up all the cans, and we're going nickel, 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 and we were trying to figure out how we can get enough money to invest in this thing. But I get a little bit ahead of myself. So other than that experience, we don't know you that well.
Yeah.
And I guess to start, let us know a little bit about what you're doing today,
how you got there,
a
little background, education, your previous jobs, stuff like that.
As far as I know, you're not a Grundy Center native.
No, I'm actually from Boone.
Okay.
Yeah, River Valley kid. Right?
All right. Well, tell us what you're doing, but tell us how you ended up going down the path that you're at today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long road, right? And it basically started in high school. I started building like gaming PCs, right? And I really enjoyed it. And my mom was like, "Hey, DMAC has like a good, more of a trade school for information technology, right?" And at that time, I was like, "No, I want to go to Iowa State and do aerospace," because the plan is to do aerospace and then somehow get myself into NASCAR, building bodies for stock cars, because aerospace and NASCAR are the same thing.
It's hand in hand.
Yeah, apparently. And I went to look at Iowa State, and I looked around and I was like, "This is bullshit. This is too much money. The knowledge that I can learn is out there for everyone on their phone."
Yep.
And I can get in contact with someone who would be willing to teach me like hands-on.
Not a good enough return on my investment.
Exactly. Right. So I was like, well, DMAC's cheap. I can go to DMAC. I can get my degree in a year. They said it's 2-year program. I did it in a year because I'm crazy. And, I went through, I learned a lot of valuable skills, but I wasn't working on Bitcoin miners, right? I was working on servers and just computers in general. And that background's a lot different than what I do now, but it's still kind of the same thing in the grand scheme of things. I graduated college, and instead of doing anything crazy, I went and got a job.
That's very respectful.
Yeah, what you should do, right? And I looked around. I couldn't really find anything, and I was working a warehouse job for Fairway. I was throwing their huge warehouse is in Boone.
Yep,
all of it, and I had the great joy of throwing produce with grown-ass men that didn't like me.
Sure.
And they didn't like me, and I think the reason why was because they saw, something bigger than throwing produce for the rest of my life, right? Good paying job, it's honest. There's nothing wrong with it. But they tease the crap out of me. They're mean.
Yep.
They're brutal. Yep. And I was like, man, I need to get away from these guys. I need to go do something and change the world in my way.
You were meant for more.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And I sat there and I was like, okay, well, I need a big job. I need to do something crazy. And I was like looking through Indeed, and Facebook popped up, right? There's a huge data center in Des Moines. It's a giant gray building. Couldn't tell it's Facebook unless you knew. And I applied for the job. I was pulling cable, right? Just pulling fiber and Ethernet and all that good stuff, and just helping Zuckerberg get everyone's information, pretty much.
Yep.
And I learned a lot there, but same thing. Like, management sucked. Like, the people that were running it didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, at all. And it's like, you're working for like one of the richest and most influential men of our generation, and you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yep.
Like, you should not be here. You should be somewhere way far away, but not here. And, I went through and I still worked for him for a few months, and months turned into a year. And I was like, man, I can't stand the management. I can't stand the fact that the people I work with don't know what the hell they're doing. And I can't stand the fact that I'm making nothing. I'm trying to, build a race car and go race. And I can't do that on Facebook money.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
You had your why,
Yeah.
but the people you were working for, they had lost the why.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And if you lose the why, man, you need to leave.
Yep.
Because you're not helping who you're working for. Like, they're paying you to hopefully have you make money for them.
Yep.
And if you're not making that money and you're not interested in that, get the hell out.
Yep.
Yep.
Like, I don't know why they don't teach you kids in school this, but like, I had to learn it through my dad, know? So I was working at Facebook doing my Facebook stuff. Right. And a job opportunity pulled up at Microsoft, biggest data center in continental United States is in Des Moines.
No kidding.
Wow. Did not know that.
I
at
would
all.
have never known that.
No.
I thought for sure you were going to say Nevada.
No. And the reason why is simple. There's not a lot of natural disasters to build your building to withstand. There's enough people here that you can get somewhat decent techs if they're motivated, right? And then the other thing is that, we have great renewable energy here. The price of power is dirt cheap.
Cheapest in the country, just about.
Exactly. So all those big companies are like, well, one of our biggest expenses is power. Okay, that's covered. Are there people here that want to work? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all farm kids. Like, everyone says we live on a farm. I mean, it's pretty much true.
It's got that blue collar vibe to it.
Yeah, definitely. So, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, how can I get this job at Microsoft? How can I elevate myself from just pulling cables to doing something better than just like pulling cables?
Yep.
And I applied for a job as a server technician, working on servers of all sorts for Xbox Live, Microsoft Azure, any Microsoft associated thing I worked on.
And that's kind of what you went to school for. You were working on servers while you were at DMAC, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of what you were trained to do.
What year would have this been?
I graduated high school in 2015. I graduated in 2016. I was working for Facebook through 2017. And then 2018, I was like, man, I need a change.
He almost could have booted you off of a server playing
Xbox Live,
playing
Halo, playing Halo.
I might have said the forbidden word and I got rid of you.
Yeah, could have happened.
That's not actually what the job is,
Right.
though. It's weird because like a lot of people think like, oh man, you must be like crazy smart to work on a server. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm basically a mechanic for computers.
Sure.
Like, and it's hard for people to grasp that thought.
Yeah.
I'm replacing a part. Like if your transmission fails, you're going to replace your transmission for your car, right?
Yep.
If your hard drive fails on your computer, you're going to replace your hard drive.
Right.
It's kind of the same deal, right?
At the end of the day, all this technology is just another machine, another form of machine that needs maintenance, that things go wrong on, and somebody's got to figure out why it's not working and fix it.
And thank God that there'll never be a machine that can fix another machine. There might be machines that help you fix it, but there'll never be a machine that can take the human out of working on the machine.
Yeah.
So, I got the job at Microsoft. I still actually have the belt I wear the belt every day. So you go through security screening. Like, it's like getting into an airport. Like, that place is top notch. They got big gates around it. They got security. Fortunately, they don't have guns, and a lot of them you look like you could beat the crap out of if you
Right.
wanted to. It's like, who are you stopping? Not me.
Paul Blarts. There's a lot of Paul Blarts.
a lot of Paul Barts. But I mean, you're walking through a bunch of security. Like, you got it. It's funny because like it's the same way at Facebook, right? But you walk through the doors, you go into a man trap. And for people that don't understand what a man trap is, it's like a small coat closet with 2 doors. One going in, one going out.
Yep.
So you'll walk in, you'll scan your scanner, you'll walk in, you'll do a biometric, which is usually fingerprints. So I always feel like I'm on like Get Out or Get Smart or whatever.
Yeah.
Like super agent crap,
Yep.
I'll walk through and then it's all just computers.
Yep.
It's just giant buildings worth of computers. And the biggest thing that they're worried about is uptime, keeping them cool, and making sure the power is cheap.
Yep.
So I was the one making them work.
So you're just pretty much managing those 3 things, keeping the servers going as best you can.
There came a point, and I was just like, man, like this isn't fulfilling to me. Like this is boring.
Was the pay
Repetitive.
good? Was the pay better than it was at Facebook?
Oh yeah, the pay was great. I could have built a late model, pro late model,
Right.
with that money, which
So
I regret I didn't. But
so at that time, well, and maybe today. So is that your litmus test? Like, did you equate what you made back to what kind of race car parts I could buy with this wage? Like, you're thinking, okay, I have to work this many hours.
yeah, no, seriously,
That's awesome.
seriously. When I was in high school, I would track my hours, and I had like an Excel spreadsheet of like, this is how many hours a motor costs. This is how many hours, rear fender costs.
Yep.
This is quarter panels. This is a whole new chassis. Because it's like, it's hard work. Like, there's a lot of people out there in like the racing community that are like busting their ass just to be out there.
Right.
And I want to be one of those
So
guys.
that's your dream. That's the dream.
yeah.
Is that what motivates you the most on all the hard days and everything? And
Literally,
that's your why.
I don't watch TV.
Yep.
I don't watch, anything besides racing. Like, I will get on every day. I'll watch a race on Dirt Vision. I'll watch a race on Flow. I'll watch a race on IMCA TV. I'll watch the NASCAR race. I'll watch the Indy race. I'll watch, rally racing. I'll watch all of it.
Just love racing.
And the crazy thing is most of the kids that love racing are second generation. I'm first. No one in my family has ever done this.
It's probably a fairly small circle, the people that are that hardcore into it.
Oh yeah.
Well, and that's what it takes probably to get there.
But it is, because it takes laser focus to
and
make that
that's pretty cool. I think you said you're a first generation. I think you were born to do that. I think it was, you just were born and it was into you. And that's cool. That's super cool.
I always say I'm the reincarnation of Alan Kowicki. That's what I try to tell people.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So you got the job at Microsoft. So what's your next step? You're kind of thinking it over. You're like, I don't know. It's just not fulfilling to you. What
pushed you over the edge?
Yeah.
I'm just like, COVID starts, right? And I'm like, ugh. And then they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to switch your hours. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's only yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I'll fight the system if I need to. Like, I got other stuff going on. Like, I'm trying to do like iRacing and put my name out there on that platform because, it's more widely available for everyone, right? And, I was sitting there and I was like, Bill Gates doesn't give a crap about me. Bill Gates doesn't give a crap about anyone. You might say he does, but he doesn't. Right. So I was like, man, like there's nothing for me here. And my motivation went down, and they got rid of me. Thank God they did, right? Because like a lot of the what I see is like from Facebook. There's a lot of people that they should have got rid of, and they never did because, workplace politics, right?
Yep.
So, I kind of, at the end there, I quit, but, they were about to fire me.
Sure.
because I just didn't give a shit. I was like, every day I was watching NASCAR races and just collecting the check because I was like trying to find a job.
Yep.
And, I saw server manager job in Grundy Center. And I was like, Guthrie Center? No.
Where's that?
No, it's Grundy Center. Where the hell is Grundy Center? Right?
Yep.
I'm like, oh, okay. It's there. Google mapped it. and I was like, there's nothing here. Like for a server farm for nothing.
Right.
Like,
What could this possibly be?
What could this possibly be?
Didn't say on the posting or anything?
It did. It talked about Bitcoin, but it wasn't like, hey, you're going to manage a Bitcoin mine.
Okay. So when you saw that and it said Bitcoin, what was your knowledge base as far as Bitcoin was? Did you
have any
interest in it? Were you?
I'm gonna give the PG version of what I was using Bitcoin for, but let's just say your boy liked broccoli. All right, and there was only one true way to get broccoli easily.
Yeah,
and it was the dark web with Bitcoin.
Yep.
So
you were familiar.
You
with
were
it.
familiar with it.
Yeah, and I got it introduced to me like when it was very early on.
Yep.
Right. And my buddy was explaining it to me, and I was kind of like almost similar to my dad, which is kind of funny. I was just like, so it's make-believe money worth real money that you can trade for real things, but it's still fake money.
Just like most people think right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, pretty much. Just spend it and hold on to some. That's the one thing he told me. He's like, don't ever let your wallet go to zero.
Did you?
No, I took that advice.
That's good.
I definitely took that advice because I was like, okay, well, at the time it was worth like nothing.
Nothing, right?
Like literally nothing.
That's pretty insightful that you took advice from somebody that had an interest in broccoli.
Yeah.
We'll use that term. And you said, I think this is pretty valuable advice, and you kept it.
Yeah.
That's pretty insightful.
Good friend. Trusted him.
Who knew a broccoli dealer would know
that was
life lessons?
There you go. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, I was around Bitcoin when I was working at Facebook. I got to thank Mark Zuckerberg because I stole some of his power for one of my first Asic miners. Yeah.
Awesome.
So thanks Zuckerberg for that, like 0.7 Bitcoin that I mined while I was at Facebook. Really enjoyed it.
0.7 Bitcoin today.
Oh yeah,
pretty good return on your time.
That's like $35,000.
Yep.
That he made for me.
That was probably better than what your donation to your 401k was.
Oh yeah.
So you bought a miner and literally put it there while you were working there?
Yeah.
Towards the end.
I like hit it. I hit it, and I was just like, most of these people don't know what the hell they're doing anyways.
Well,
they're not going to know what that is. They're just going to be like, oh, that's just a thing that is here. It exists.
Right.
Just like
another
next to
computer.
the pop machine,
Yeah.
next to one of the vending machines.
So actually, I took the fans off of it because they're like
Loud.
really loud.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing people don't understand with like ASIC miners. And ASIC miners are application specific integrated circuits.
Yep.
So they're only designed to mine Bitcoin.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
You can't play Minecraft. You can't go
Do nothing
on the
else.
internet. Nothing else.
Yep.
Nothing. I hit it on top of the pop machine.
You got it.
That's awesome.
Took the fans out, and most of these are running on 220, right?
Yep.
So you have to get a power supply that can run off of 110.
Converter.
Yeah, a converter, right?
Yep.
So I got a converter, and I'm plugging it in, and I'm like trying to sneakily put it up there. And no one was around. No one noticed. And, it was interesting when I tried to get it down because I did it in front of everyone. And no one knew what it was. No one said anything. I just walked out. Security didn't care. No one was...
So did you leave it
Was that your
overnight?
last day?
Yeah, I
was there for
I left
weeks.
it there for like 6 months just chilling on top of there, just running, making money.
So
when you were done, you went and finally picked it up and just
Yeah,
walked.
yeah.
you didn't take it out on your last day.
Were you
did
ever afraid? Were you ever afraid that somebody was going to figure it out and take it? Would that ever run through your mind, or you were just like,
Take it. What,
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
what
right.
are you gonna do? At that time, like, yeah, people knew what Bitcoin was, but like, if you walked up and looked at an Asic miner,
They
you
didn't
wouldn't
know
know
what-
what the hell it was.
right?
No.
Like, you're like, okay, well, it has one Ethernet port going in, and it's connected to power. I don't really know what this does.
Yeah, right. Just gonna leave it here on the pop
Yeah.
machine.
So when did you take it your last day or did you,
Yeah.
that is so
I took
awesome.
I took it 2 days before my last day because I was like, you know what?
Yeah, I'm not waiting until I walk out.
I'm not waiting until I walk out because I wasn't going to go to those last 2 days.
Right.
Right.
I'm better than that. Like, they treated me like crap. I'll treat you.
I'm not giving you that.
Right.
eye for an eye, right?
That's so awesome.
That is
I'm leaving.
ultimate
I'm
mic
taking.
drop.
I'm taking.
Did
this
anyone
with
ask
me.
you anything, or they just let you?
no one knew what it was. You know, I'm happy no one was like, maybe that's a bomb or something. Like,
Right.
oh God, that could have been terrible.
Right.
Some people steal copier paper, but not you.
I steal electricity
Yeah.
to mine Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So you had a little bit of knowledge about mining before you got this opportunity.
Yeah, I knew a little bit, but it wasn't like Asic miners are relatively new in the grand scheme of things. Like, everyone uses GPUs, and you know, many of your viewers are probably going to be like, "Oh, that's the guy that tanked, you know, the price of GPUs and made it so expensive that I can't even play Madden on my PC anymore." Right?
Yeah.
I'm not. Quite simply, I've only mined with one graphics card in my whole life.
I gotcha.
ASIC or nothing. Like, how I judge people on if they're a Bitcoin miner or not is if they have ASIC miners. If you have a GPU, you're still a rookie.
Okay, that's
you
Make a note
That's
somewhere.
the difference. That's how you know. Okay.
Well, but I mean, it's still good. Like, you're still mining crypto. You're still figuring out the stuff, right?
But those are the high tier, top tier.
yeah,
miners.
because it's like graphics card. You have all these uses for. ASIC miner has one use.
One use only.
Yeah, like when you think about farming, how many things are just one use? There's not a lot of stuff that's multiple use.
Right. You're exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah. Very purpose driven.
Yeah. And when it's purpose driven, it's completely designed to
For
do that
that.
one thing
Yep.
and to optimize the technology that it has to do that one thing.
Yep.
And with ASIC miners, that one thing is Bitcoin.
Yep.
And I started out with an S9 miner. They make like 15 terahash. Now, remind you, a terahash now costs 33 cents. 1 terahash, 33 cents. All right. The new machines make like 110 terahash.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Jeez.
Yeah.
Crazy.
yeah.
Crazy difference.
And it's nuts because it's not that long ago at all that the S9 came out and it was 15 terahash.
And
now
it was
it's at
state of the art.
and
People
it was
were
state
like,
of the art.
wow.
People were freaking out. And the crazy thing about the S9 miners, just to get a little bit off topic, they're rugged as shit. Like, they're crazy. I've seen videos of China, like people like making their own hydroelectric from like fan blades in
the
water,
river.
and they're just sitting on the bank of the river, just running Bitcoin, just mining
That's
away.
crazy.
And it's just like, God damn. And now the new machines, they work, right? But they're Chinese build quality. So
Yeah. And so they're made for a very narrow environment.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to keep them cool, clean, stable.
Yep. So, a lot of our job is keeping them clean.
Yeah.
We're in Iowa, and I think you guys know the harvest season's right now.
Yeah. It's probably just a
little
freaking
dusty.
dust disaster.
Yep.
Just to give you a little context, this is how dirty my shirt is. I have bleached. I have kept it in water and borax and ammonia, and I can't get the dust out
Yeah.
at all.
Right.
Like, there is so much dust that goes into our mine, and it's a known problem to us.
Right.
And half of my job is taking the known problems that exist in the Bitcoin mining space and questioning why the hell we're doing it this way.
Yeah,
because in the grand scheme of things, Bitcoin is so new, no one knows how to do this right.
Right. You're figuring it out as you go.
No one can tell me like, oh, you're doing this wrong. Because I'm just going to be like, no, I'm doing it right.
Yeah, you're a pioneer.
My way is the right way.
You're right. Right. You're a pioneer of the space.
And so far, my way has been working. I started with 2 people in that mine working with me. It was like one other dude. His name's Jesse. Great dude. Little bit of an angry man, but
that environment can make you angry, though.
I mean, when you're sitting there and it's just like the sound of Bitcoin miners constantly, and it's hot,
or super cold,
and you're dusty, and you're in
no good looking girls around,
no
just
good
a bunch
looking
of
girls,
dudes.
just staring at Bitcoin miners like all day. And
get your nerves going a little bit.
It gets your nerves going. Yeah. I can say there's been a few times that I've almost broken my knuckles on some stuff.
It's part of it. Yeah, let's backtrack a little.
Take it back.
Yeah.
We'll backtrack a little bit. So yeah, you go ahead.
You see this ad.
Oh yeah.
And you're thinking Grundy Center, Iowa.
Yeah. So JP, who's the owner of Mining Store, great guy, really smart guy. I talked to him on the phone and we kind of did an interview, and I was like, yeah, like I'm really interested in the job. And just to tell you how much I love racing, he's from North Carolina. Can you guess the question that I asked him? How close are you to Mooresville? How close are you to the center?
So was
racing?
that like the linchpin? Was he close enough?
No, he wasn't. He didn't like racing or anything. But I was like, okay, well, he's from North Carolina. Like,
he's got to be all right.
He's got to be all right.
Hey, they're good in pig production too. So hey,
they are.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
They're the second, or we're first.
Second.
They're second. Yeah.
They used to be first.
I mean, I was always the best. Best hogs, best corn.
That's
I don't
right.
care what
Bitcoin.
anyone says.
Best
Bitcoin?
Best Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Definitely best Bitcoin.
We just do good at farming.
Everything.
Everything.
That's the thing. Farming.
Yep.
But so like I got off the interview and like I'm talking with a few of my buddies and they're like, bro, you need to go see this place because it does not sound legit. Like I don't want to see you get like scammed. Right.
Yep. Totally.
So I messaged JP and I'm like, hey, can I come see your mine? Like I just want to look at it. Right. And mind you, I'm used to working in
sterile,
Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg data centers.
Security up the ass.
There is security up the ass. There is no dust anywhere.
Right.
Everything is clean. Everything is top of the art. Like the companies that design a lot of the IT stuff, they're custom ordering and custom designing stuff for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm working with the best equipment in the best environment with the best people, allegedly, for the best people. And, I walk in and, I drive up.
Yeah.
I drive up in my Type R. At the time, I had a big kick for cars. So I had a Corvette, I had a Type R, I had a Nissan, a few Nissans, some more Hondas. Like I had a lot of cars.
Had an arsenal.
Yeah, I had an arsenal. I was like a young Jay Leno before I even turned 50.
Yeah.
But I pulled up and it was on a gravel road, and I get out of the car and it's just like a metal building, but they couldn't afford to get a metal top.
It's a hoop shed.
It's a hoop shed. Yep. Exactly. Yep. And I'm just sitting here like, you got to be kidding me. They're running like machines inside of a hoop shed, like legitimately.
Yeah.
So I walk inside, I'm talking to JP, and I'm just like looking around like, oh my God.
So were you thinking like, how do you even keep this running from the experience you had?
Well, yeah, I was just like, how how the hell is he like actually making money at this?
Right.
Because like
It just looked.
this is not gonna work. Like
Right.
you are going to be losing money soon, my friend, because you don't know what the hell's going on.
Right.
And no shots at JP. Like I know he knows what's going on, but like the people that he had hired there didn't know what was going on, weren't motivated, didn't want to push the industry, right?
Kind of like Facebook.
Yeah, kind of like Facebook.
Yep.
It's like everywhere I go, I got these people that, don't
Right.
want to do it. Like, so
You're probably so glad though that you did have that experience before, because then you knew what a true data center actually like looked like.
oh yeah,
And
that was 100% vital in what we're doing.
right.
Yeah.
I feel like that was just a meant to be path for you.
Because
you
like
know?
after I walked in there and like kind of looked around, I was like, man, I could work for like 3 years straight making this thing look nice, getting
Right.
it running, and never have a day where I'm sitting on my ass just wondering what I need to do.
Well, I want to say this because full disclosure, we've been to this site and we've seen it a couple
Toured
months
it.
ago.
Yep.
It was a lot more rough.
Oh, I'm sure it was. But I have to say that for me, and you can tell me if this is the same for you, going there and seeing that was my first experience where I would say, and I'm showing my geekness. To me, it was kind of like stepping into Star Wars. And the reason I say that is because one of the things that always fascinated me about that whole genre was traditionally technology in the world today, the world we have is all like what you experience at Facebook.
Oh yeah.
It's very sterile.
Yep.
It's all professional. But if you immerse yourself in as a kid growing up in the Star Wars world, it was all this super, super amazing technology that existed in this dirty, filthy, just like sketchy rugged environment.
Yep.
And you never see that. You never see that until we walked into that Bitcoin mine, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
My thoughts were like, I had the same thoughts as you when we pulled up. I was imagining this,
immaculate building
data center,
with
like,
amazing landscaping
right,
and a big
right.
fence,
Right,
and all the lights.
we pull up, and I'm like, all right, yeah, and then we
a gate with the arm that opened
right,
up.
yeah, exactly, all that stuff. I pull up, and I was thinking kind of the same thing you were, and I walked in, and I truly, after we talked and we toured the mine and everything, I was like, these guys are like truly pioneers of this space right now.
100%.
Like I was like, this is so. Like, how many people know this even exists? Like, that's what I was like so amazed by.
It's so crazy because when we pulled up there, like we didn't until we talked to you.
We didn't know.
We honestly didn't know if we were in the right place or not.
Right.
We assumed we're sitting there. Okay, well, there's all this power and there's all these fans and it looks like a bunch of computers. I think we're in the right place.
Yeah.
But is it?
Yeah,
Are we?
Right.
Well,
It's crazy.
that's the way I like it, honestly.
Yeah,
like I
it's
don't
cool.
want people poking around at my mind,
Right.
because you're gonna have problems.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of money being made here, and there's a lot of money in machines here, and we take that real seriously.
Yeah.
As you
Like,
should.
As you should, for
like,
sure.
Yeah, like when you guys came, it was kind of funny because I was like in the middle of like a ton of projects.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was just like kind of sitting there like, oh God.
Who are
I w-
these guys?
I wish they'd kind of leave, but they're kind of cool. I want to keep on talking to them.
Yeah, it was awesome. We talked for like 2 hours just outside after the tour. We love Bitcoin,
Well, it's just-
as you guys know.
Yeah.
I would say to anybody, when you see something like that, it was like I feel like this is a big word, but I don't know how else to say it. It's like a paradigm shift. Like when you see that and you realize what's going on there, and the fact that when you hear, when you bring up Coinbase or you bring up Cash App and you look at the price of Bitcoin and you see a story about mining, it's all abstract.
Yeah.
That's all like, oh yeah, whatever, this, that. When you see it in action and you see how that actually works, I mean, it just changes your whole perspective of of that technology.
Yeah, little did you know, like when you're buying or
yeah.
trading Bitcoin on Cash App, there's a guy in Iowa with a mullet and a Bitcoin mine in a poop barn that's making it happen.
Yep. No, yeah, it doesn't even run through your damn mind. And that's a lot of, we're going to get into the technicals of mining and everything, because I feel like that's a big question people have. And
Oh, yeah.
some people don't even know that's how Bitcoin exists. Like, they don't even know how it's.
Well, you know, we mine the Bitcoin ore and then we process it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. What's funny about that is on our YouTube, our whatever we want to call it, our partner
TDF,
channel.
This'll Do Farm.
This'll Do Farm is kind of like our farm life, where we chronicle what we do with raising pigs. We had a tile that needed to be fixed
At my hog barn.
And so, when we built that building, we cut some tiles. The field was pattern tile, so we had to get an excavator in there.
Yeah.
And Sawyer was like, he shot it, and then he's like, I'm gonna put a quiz, whether people think we're fixing tile, whether we're building a connecting core to build a new barn, or whether we're mining Bitcoin.
Oh, hell yeah.
And at least somebody, I don't know how many people, but
I don't know if people, I want to say, I hope people like mine Bitcoin and like just did it as a joke, but I'm sure there were some guys that like clicked it and were like mining Bitcoin.
I guarantee you most people of your age
Understood.
were like, haha, funny, mining Bitcoin. But I would not put it past anybody 45 years and older looking at that going, well, gosh, you think maybe there's Bitcoin underneath my farm ground? Maybe we should dig some of that Bitcoin up. I've heard that's pretty valuable.
Well, it's kind of funny you say that because like sometimes like the dumbest question I get is how deep is the hole? No. So like I'll tell them like, yeah, I work as a Bitcoin miner. Like most of the time it's when I'm hanging out with my dad's friends at the bar.
Yeah.
They ask, like I hear this question. Right, and it's crazy to explain this to someone
that
has no idea, because like most of his friends still have flip phones.
Yeah,
like they don't want them. They don't have computers in their house. They want to just be left alone, which is totally fine.
Yeah,
by the
more
way.
power to you.
Yeah, honestly, some days I wish I was like them.
Right.
But you know, when I sit there and explain it to them, I'm like, okay, so let's first talk about the dollar. Let's talk about what we have right now. All right. That, you know, the thumbnail is going to be me ripping that dollar. And right after I ripped it, I said it's worth 4 cents. It's not worth $1.
Right.
It's not. Our buying power is decreased so dramatically since you were a kid.
Yeah. So basically, we went off the gold standard.
Yeah.
And once we went off the gold standard, we entered a world of we talk about it on here, of what you call fiat currency.
Yeah.
And fiat currency is basically the dollar is only worth what someone is willing to give you for it. And we've been in
perceived
whatever its perceived value is. And within the world, because of the military industrial complex, which we won't get into that today, but you know, we've carried a big stick around the world, which has given us the ability to convince everybody that Pepsi is worth $1 or it's worth whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Which when I was a kid, it was worth 30 cents. But anyway, it's we talked about this before we even started, that this whole idea, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but people are like, you know, well, you know, how's it worth anything? Because it's not really here. Well, your dollar, you've grown up your entire life using a currency that is not tied to anything of any substantial value. It's only your perceived value and the fact that everyone around you has that same perception. When in fact, it might not be worth anything. Might be worth 4 cents.
Well, we keep printing it too, which decreases the value.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. Most people probably know that's why it's devaluing. Because the government is printing money.
And if you don't know that, then kudos to you. I want to come to your
we
house.
need to sit down and have a longer
No,
talk.
we don't. If you've made it this far and you don't realize that, you're fine. Just keep because like you said, I kind of those people. I kind of like. I wish.
them.
Yeah, I wish I had that. I wish I was just like.
It's just kind of like what you said with the guys at the bar. You know, and Dad and I speak about this sometimes. Some days we are like, man, it would just be nice to just be like, not give a
Just
shit.
take everything at face value and be like, oh,
Yep.
It's a nice day.
Just living life and not, because I mean, this shit, it's hard doing stuff like that. And it's hard with kind of sometimes what we do, but there's no fulfillment. There's nothing. Like some days when you're having bad days, that's what you think. But then the next day comes, you have a good day and you're like, I wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
Yeah.
The $1 million question on that is, if I knew that I was going to be able to arrive at death's door in complete and utter ignorance, and that this experiment would last me till I'm dead, I'd 100% be on it. Because if you knew you were going to make it out with the pipe dream that we're on, more power to you. My problem is I just wake up every day and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna get hard. I better buy more Bitcoin.
You don't think it's gonna last? The dollar's
right.
Gonna
That's
last.
the thing. So if you don't have that, then it doesn't work.
Well, I mean, the crazy thing to me is like people are like, oh, it's make believe money, and then like it's like, do you understand our financial system? Do you truly understand that?
Yeah, go into that a little bit because I know you wanted to talk a little bit about that.
So for the first big bailout for banks. By the way, banks are not owned by the U.S. government. Our Federal Reserve is not owned by the U.S. government for the most part. There's a lot of middlemen. There's a lot of bureaucracy, right? Everybody's got to get their little bit off of it, right?
Yep.
So they are taking the money that you have in your bank account and they're being like, okay, well, Bob has $100.
Yep.
But Sally over here, she wants to get a loan for $97. So we're going to take this virtual money that doesn't exist, that's in your account, right?
Right.
And we're going to take it and we're going to give it to Sally.
Yep.
And you're still going to show $100, but you don't really have that $100. Like no one does.
Yep.
And that's what's like crazy to me is like people don't understand that with like just our dollar. Like our money right now.
Yeah.
Because it's like crazy to me that people are like, oh, well, Bitcoin is fake money. Well, it's like, well, the dollar in your pocket's fake money too.
The number that's on your bank account when you check your app is fake money too. Yeah.
And then like the thing that like started Bitcoin is like Satoshi was like really fed up with the 2008 financial crisis.
Yep.
Because what was it? It was third-party people making money off of your money, giving you way more money than they should ever give you because you can't pay it back, by the way.
Yep.
And it crashes everything.
Right.
And we have to bail them out.
Yep.
You know when the earliest bailout for the banks was? 2,000 years ago.
Yep.
Like I said. Mm-hmm. And we're still doing it.
Right. We're not
like
we got a solution now.
Everything evolves. Like if you look at farming, like look how far we've come.
Right.
Our combines literally drive themselves.
Right. And then everybody used like not even 100 years ago, everybody had to have a little bit of farming going on their house. Like everybody was sort of a farmer because you had to feed your family. And now Dad and I take care of 20,000 pigs. We, row crop and it's just two people because we've adopted technology. We've got better. We got smarter. And it's crazy to me that you said, 2,000 years ago, but yet we're still going at the pace that we've been going at. But I think Bitcoin might be the solution. Do you believe it is?
Cryptocurrency is the solution.
Yep.
Right. So this is the analogy that I kind of tell people, right, with different cryptocurrencies. Okay. So in our dollar system, right, we have different dollar bills. We have a $100 bill, we have a $20 bill, we have a $10 bill, we have a $5 bill, and we have a dollar bill.
We have a $2 bill if you like to tip your strippers.
Yeah,
they always like when you give them that $2 bill.
The $2 bill is like the weird, unique, quirky one.
Classy.
Right? But if you were going to store wealth, right, what bill would you choose? 100, right?
$100.
Because it's worth more and it takes up less space because 100 ones is a lot of ones.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Yep.
So think of Bitcoin as that $100 bill. It's to store wealth.
Yep.
Right? So I keep my Bitcoin to store for wealth. I will trade Bitcoin occasionally to share the wealth. And when I mean share the wealth, I mean I'm literally sending Bitcoin to my friends and telling them save it.
Yep.
I want to make sure that your kids are
Good.
got everything.
That's a good fucking friend right there.
Yeah. But that's what Bitcoin is.
Yeah, I'm your friend. Why aren't you sending me?
I don't have enough yet.
I mean,
I'm gonna get an education here though.
All right, good.
but so, you know, you're going to store your wealth with a $100 bill, right? So what's the $20 bill? Well, there's a lot of options, right? There's a lot of cryptocurrency out there.
I think that's going to get sorted out.
Yeah, it's going to get sorted out. You're going to see who the winners are and who the losers are, right? Yeah. And it's almost like it's a free economy, right?
I don't mean to interrupt you, but on that, like, I feel like, so I've made some bets on that side of it, in the fact that, so I think Ethereum might be one of those.
Definitely is, by the way. Application specific. It's for applications.
Yeah.
Like, that's your $20 bill right there.
Yeah.
Because most people spend $20 bills, right? You use your $20 bill all the time. You don't really want to walk around with 100.
No, right.
Because you're going to get robbed, right?
Exactly.
So that's
anybody
why,
that knows that you've got that, and I use that as an example. I've got Cardano. I bought some Cardano because I think that might be a possibility. But
other real cool one that I like that one.
But the vast majority of the money, the fiat money that I've invested in that space is in Bitcoin, because to me, I feel like that is the most solid asset. So to me, it's like buying gold. So
yeah,
to store value.
Bitcoin is my gold, and I'll dabble in all this other stuff, and I think it's going to work. I feel like, but the thing is, one of the most valuable things I think I ever learned was from a guy that talked about this. The biggest risk that you face is what you don't know that you don't know.
Yeah.
Because we all have the risks that we know, and we all have the risks of what we're pretty sure that we don't know. Mm-hmm. But what will really screw you is what you don't know. Exactly. I mean, because that's just like, and so Bitcoin to me that's my don't touch egg. And then if I want to dabble in whatever, if I wanted to buy some Dogecoin, I'd go buy some Dogecoin, but I don't.
You don't. That's a shit.
I mean, I don't know. It could be.
Coin.
Well, it could be, but I'm just saying for me, and if it all, so I guess what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, if Cardano or Ethereum, if that ends up not being the best use case, that it gets the traction, it gets going, and it is the $20 bill,
yeah,
I'm okay. I mean, I'll be pissed.
Yeah, because you don't have that $100 bill, but oh well, you still got a 20, man.
Yeah. But I've got my Bitcoin.
So are you confident that Bitcoin do you think Bitcoin's the king of crypto, and do you think it can stay that way?
Bitcoin's the OG. And you got to remember, OGs always stay in power. And we're talking about a currency and not a person. And
right.
Those don't die.
Right. And I was a little skeptical on, if it, because there was a lot of questioning people.
You should question it.
Right.
That's the big thing that I tell people. Like, you should question what I say and do your research and come to your own conclusions.
Yep.
Because if you're not, like, man, you need to go back to school, because that's what they taught you with book reports. It's think about what you're reading and what you're dissolving into your brain.
Right. Yeah, and the whole El Salvador thing, where El Salvador's, they're fully on the Bitcoin standard.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it seems like it's working okay. I saw a stat that 50% of El Salvador people, they've adopted
50% of the population.
50% of the population's adopted it. And if it can work, that to me is going to be my, like, okay, this if a country's taking it and it is evolving and it's going good and most people it's working well and it's efficient, then I'm going to be sold on it 100%, which I'm about at 95.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing, and we won't get off on this hard, but so if you're a country like El Salvador, what's your downside? Because here's the problem: you're on the U.S. dollar, and if you're a country using another country's currency, but you can't print that currency,
You're in trouble.
you're fucked. And you're screwed. So I might edit that out. Because you get the benefit of using that currency, which is known and can go anywhere around the world, but you get all the inflation and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, you have no way of voting in officials or doing anything.
You are totally along for the ride of all of the politics of the country that you are using that currency.
Exactly.
And so if I'm El Salvador, obviously there is risk. Bitcoin is not nearly as stable as far as the price. I mean, the dollar doesn't move. It moves nothing compared to what Bitcoin moves. But you are in charge of your own destiny, and you're giving your people a chance to not be tied to another country's politics.
Exactly.
So to me, I'm surprised. I've been really watching Nigeria because Nigeria is a country where it's interesting.
They're in the
because,
same boat.
But differently.
When they first started, like they had I watched a video on this like a few months ago.
Yeah.
But like when they first started, they had like something similar to like a cryptocurrency. Like you bought in, you had your token or whatever they gave, and you went and spent it. But they're like, okay, we're only going to have a certain amount of these so we don't inflate this.
Right.
Because we've learned and evolved, which a lot of places haven't.
Yeah.
And it's funny that a third world country is evolving with like financially and going to become financially fit. Like I seriously believe that there's going to be countries that we never expected that are going to skip, everything that we've created so far.
They're going to
go straight to
they're going to start
everything's
thriving.
digitalized.
Yep.
They're using renewable energy. They don't have to worry about oil. They don't have to worry about, anything besides what they have.
This is the new industrial revolution. It really is.
100%.
Yeah.
And these small countries are figuring out this is our chance to get out from poverty. This is our chance.
Well, it's your chance to
maybe-
get out of the monopoly
Yeah.
of the World Bank.
Right. It's
And
a
of
chance.
these countries that have dictated to you how your economic system was going to go and put you in a spot and say, you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, an amazing story that I read was a woman in Afghanistan. She got out, thank God.
Yeah.
But she, instead of using their monetary money that they use there, she was like, okay, I'm going to pay all my employees in Bitcoin. I'm going to accept our currency, but I'm going to convert it straight to Bitcoin.
Yep.
And I'm going to pay everybody on the team and me. It worked out. Well, so a few of the people saved their Bitcoin. Some of them, exchanged it and got money. And she decided, okay, well, this Bitcoin is able to get me out of here. And she moved to America.
Yep.
And she still pays all of her employees in Bitcoin, by the way.
Yep.
But in countries like that, where there's issues that are beyond, your problem, right?
Yep.
It allows people to get out of the situation that they want.
Yep.
And it makes them financially free.
Yep.
And all of us want to be financially free, but like none of us are. Like
No.
I'm not.
Yep.
I'm not.
We're not there. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So how do we solve the problem with like our money not being worth anything if we print it all the time? How do we solve, middleman taking our money, like
Exactly.
handsomely taking our money? Like why is it that we go to an ATM and we get charged a $3 fee? Like that's my money and I
Right.
need it now. Like where's JT Wentworth, right?
That was a good plug.
but how do we solve these problems? And for the most part, that's what motivated Satoshi to figure out Bitcoin, right? So for the viewers out here that they heard me say Satoshi a few times, Satoshi is the guy that created Bitcoin, and eventually it's going to take over, right? But it has to be accepted first. And the first part of accepting something is understanding it. And it took a few years for everyone to understand what he put out.
I wish I would have understood it a little earlier.
Wish I was buying some broccoli with it, so I could have got a little taste of what it was.
You're getting this money, right? And everyone's looking at it, right? Everyone's understanding what it is now. But, I hear all these sayings and all these people like Dan Pena. You guys know who
Dan
that guy
Pena,
is?
yep.
Pena, whatever.
Yep.
I want to punch that guy in the
Thinks
mouth.
Putin's all behind it.
Bro, $30,000 for a seminar to have an old man that probably has his brain rotting in his head right now scream at you about how you shouldn't have friends, how you shouldn't do it. Bro, it doesn't matter what you do and what your personal life is. If you're on the path and you want to be on that path, you're going to get it done.
Right.
And that's all he has to say. You don't need 30K for that.
Right.
Like, just said it right now.
Yep.
But Satoshi, was fed up with all this crap. Was fed up with the middleman, with even Dan Pena. I bet he hates that guy.
Yeah.
Whoever he is.
Yep.
Maybe Dan Pena's the guy behind Bitcoin. And
It's his alter ego.
Yeah, he just wants to set everyone
Not to question him.
it, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But everyone started to question it, and at Bitcoin's infancy, it was used for less than legal things, right? People were buying drugs. People were buying weapons. People were but the US dollar does the same thing. I hear this
100%.
I hear this argument all the time. I think most drug dealers are still going to accept cash over Bitcoin.
And I think this is I think I got this from a very reputable source. Even at where we are today, the percentage of Bitcoin that's used for fraudulent transactions, which that covers everything from Pornhub to cocaine. It as a percentage of the circulating supply, it's way smaller than what the US dollar is.
Yeah.
If you want to get into fraudulent shit, the preferred method of doing it is the United States dollar.
Yeah.
Because
And
it's not worth anything because people believe it. It's not truly worth anything.
But it's
people
accepted
believe
everywhere.
it. It's accepted everywhere.
Yeah.
And most of it is fake, right?
Yeah.
Like
So you're saying people are bagging on Bitcoin because they say it's used for illegal purposes? Is
Yeah.
that one of
and,
the big bags. Okay.
and it's like, how can you think this?
Because U.S. dollars, it's clearly used more in illegal activities. But
So
well, I just want to say, I think we got a pretty good overview of how Bitcoin works,
Yeah.
but we need to really, I feel like we need to talk to these people that don't
have no idea.
They're saying
Have
it's
no
fake
idea.
money. It's fake money. I don't want in it. We need to say, this is what it is. This is how you need to look at it. I know you went in a little bit on it, but
So
I think we really need to nail that in
Okay.
because
So how is Bitcoin made first? The biggest question I get asked every day, right? Okay. So Asic miners are involved, or GPUs, or anything that can process, okay? Those processes are going to be done to create a ledger. So let's say all three of us are in a poker game right now, okay? We don't have any money. We don't have any chips. We don't have anything to barter with, okay? So we take our piece of paper right here, and we're going to write down our bets. You bet $20. I call. I bet $20. You call. You bet $20. Okay? The hand goes on, and one of us loses, right? Okay, well, if all three of us have a ledger, that means that we can be like, okay, well, this is the right ledger. What do you guys think? You guys agree? And for the most part, I think all of us are pretty...
we agree that you lost, Sawyer. You owe us $20.
I agree that we're not shady people, so we're going to agree on it, right?
Yep, right.
Okay. So think of that poker game, all right? It's happening thousands of times a day, okay? Over and over and over and over. And that's the blockchain. That's the ledger. Yep. That's at its truest form, that's what Bitcoin is it's just a giant ledger. And it's funny because the same thing can be said for our fiat financial system. A lot of it is just a huge database of numbers and amounts of money that don't exist.
Yeah, because we are so far past the stage where actual bills, hundreds, 20s, 5s, 10s, 1s, can actually move. In fact, when you go to the bank, when I take a check, we get our rent check from the company that pays us to raise pigs, rents our space. We get that check digitally. those bills don't actually go to my bank. It's just zeros and ones, zeros and ones. And then they turn around and they loan that out.
Yeah.
And they write a check to somebody to go buy this or buy that. And that check comes in and it changes the ledgers of zeros and ones. The actual amount of physical currency that moves, it doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's not even there.
Yeah.
And so in that case, in that situation, cryptocurrency is no different. It's no different.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because we're not truly running this world on physical dollars. It's all just an electronic ledger
Yeah.
of if somebody actually called it in, somebody actually went to a bank somewhere and said, I want to withdraw $100,000 in cash.
They would shit themselves.
They would shit themselves and they'd say, you could have it next Thursday when we get
the truck to come in.
well, whatever the closest regional bank is that could get that much cash and send it to you.
Yeah.
So it's so much I don't think people realize how similar our fiat system is to what crypto is, except it's just not explained to them that way.
This is what they think. They want to hold the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Just because even though we don't use...
Yeah.
Like, why does that matter?
Because even though we don't use cash, like we don't use cash near as much as we used to, and everybody that's watching or listening can agree to that. And it's just like you're saying.
Yeah.
The way we do it is most of us have a debit card that's hooked up to our bank
or
account.
A Venmo or a PayPal or whatever.
And it's more like a ledger, just like how Bitcoins run, Bitcoin cryptos ran. So it's really, you can't physically hold a Bitcoin, but you probably don't hold much cash with you anyway.
No.
And you don't really...
I haven't had any cash since my boys were about 12 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Because then when I had cash, it was always
the only
gone.
time I need freaking cash is when I go to an ice cream store that doesn't have a goddamn Square account yet.
Yeah, I know, right?
What the hell? What's up with the ice cream stores? Get a damn Square account so I can run my card.
Man, so I was, just to get off track a little bit with like how crazy money's changed, right? Everything used to be coins. Then we went to dollars, right? And then we went to debit cards and credit cards. Where are we going next? Well, it's here.
Yep.
And it might not necessarily be Bitcoin. It might not be any of the cryptocurrencies that are around. But, we talked about the blockchain, right? So we're at blockchain. So there's the blockchain, there's the ledger. Everything's good. Everything's great, right? So you need to be incentivized to be one of the people that's like, oh yeah, that's the ledger. Like we all made the bet for $20 and we called, right? So how do we motivate people? Money. Okay. So we as Bitcoin miners, right, are running these Asic miners or maybe the people at home that are watching this are running GPUs or maybe on their computer CPU for some people. But you're getting incentivized to do this so that it's transparent with everyone because we don't know what the ledger looks like for fiat money. No one will tell us. And no one. No one, right? But we could all look at the ledger right now.
Yep.
And
for the blockchain.
For the blockchain. By the way, it's really, really big.
How approximate? Do you have any idea approximately how many nodes? It's a node, right?
How many minutes or how much information goes into one block?
One block is like 10 minutes.
10 minutes of information that's going on the blockchain. Then can you kind of explain like what the blockchain kind of does? Doesn't it make sure all the information is legit?
Yeah. So like I was saying with the poker analogy, so like think of those blocks. So like we're playing a whole game, right? So we've done like 5 hands, right? And our paper's filled, right? Yep. Okay. So eventually everything's going to be digitized. Like our power grids are going to be faster, which we talked about that earlier. Our internet's going to be faster. Everything's going to be connected. So at that point, what do people need to do to make money? It's content creation.
Yep.
How can you create content to consume for the mass of everything?
Yep.
That's what the future's going to be.
It's going to be
that, or we all die in a hellhole fighting over old dinosaurs cramped in the ground.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, I don't think we really touched on this, is there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin ever.
Yeah.
21 million.
Yeah, the
Bitcoins.
inflation side of it.
Because you can't print more Bitcoin, people. That's the great thing. That's one of the best selling points on Bitcoin.
And we should get into hash rate.
Right.
Because that's all tied together.
That thing right there alone is something that should sell you on Bitcoin. Is what the problem we have today is inflation. And the reason we have inflation is because our government continues to print shitload of money, and it just devalues
out of thin air,
and it devalues the shit out of our dollar.
Think how much money that they're wasting, by the way.
Right.
Like Elon Musk made that comment about like, oh, we use too much power. I did my research. You want to know something funny? Our gold reserves use more power than all the Bitcoin miners in the world. Our gold reserves, where gold is just stored.
Right.
Nothing else.
21 million Bitcoin. That's it. That's the number it'll be, and it'll always stay that way.
Is it 21?
Yeah.
21 million.
I was 20.
No, hey, I know.
21.
21 million.
Well, okay, we go back to that. I want to say this because all of you know, if you've listened to one podcast or you listened to 10 of them, but I'm a pretty big fan of Tesla, and I think Elon Musk is a pretty smart cat. And for the most part, I think he's very thoughtful in what he said. However, don't ever forget when he made that comment about Bitcoin, I thought it was very odd how he got really hot and then really cold kind of quickly.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to fight him over that.
Yeah, I did too. But you got to remember, do you know who one of the biggest investors in Tesla is? BlackRock. And my guess is that when he made that comment and he got all giddy on Bitcoin, and that really started to take, I'll bet you someone at BlackRock called him up and said, we'd really like for you to tone that down a little bit because we're not quite ready for that. Yeah. I just found that very odd, and BlackRock is very involved in the politics of this country, and don't take my word for it. Do your own digging.
It's all about what we say.
Yeah.
Politicians are pawns. The people that run this country and the world are the richest people in the entire world. They control what the hell's going on.
I mean, I can't wait to be one of them. So I'm going to tell them to all hit the road. You're fired. You've screwed it up for everyone that's been here for hundreds of years. Yeah. Not just in recent memory, hundreds of thousands of years we've been on this fiat system and it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you can take only one thing away from me being on here besides like talking about Bitcoin, is the fact that our fiat system doesn't work. That's the great thing about these smart middlemen. Like they have figured out an amazing way to make themselves a lot of money without you really noticing, which is terrible.
Well, you're paying to have that card.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people don't realize that the merchant is paying them.
Yep.
So they're paying twice.
Yep.
So every transaction, everything you buy, the person that owns the data of that transaction, they're getting paid twice because they're charging the person that sold and the person that bought, and they're getting paid both ways.
So here's the scary thing with Bitcoin, okay? And, this is what happens when it's decentralized and there's no one in charge of it, is if something fraudulent happens, like let's say, for instance, I got into your wallet address, which, by the way, it is easier to take a chicken nugget from McDonald's and make it back to a chicken than guess or get your wallet address. So
that's a good analogy because
it is literally is. Like the technology will be out there at some point, but who's going to be the guy that puts his head to the grindstone and gets it done? Right. It's probably going to be someone very nefarious, but who cares? But if I take that, that's mine. There's no refunds, and that's what you get for not having someone controlling it.
Yep.
So
not your keys, not your crypto. That's why it's so important to be responsible with your crypto.
Exactly. So like what I tell people is like, yes, the fiat system is totally screwed up, and I want to put those middlemen out of business. I want to make them poor as dirt.
Yep.
Like where I started.
Because they serve no purpose.
They serve no purpose.
All they are is opportunists.
They're no help. They're opportunists. They're stealing money from people that need it. Like, how great would it be if everyone could like pursue their hobbies?
Yep.
Like if you wanted to get a plane and learn how to fly, Do you realize how much a plane is? They're expensive.
Oh,
they're
very.
like really expensive. But think about if Joe Schmo that was working in a grocery store could get the money to fly his plane, probably wouldn't be that upset.
Right. His life could be made. It's just like you,
Yeah.
if you could get some cars, you want,
Yeah, exactly.
That's your dream. And everybody's got a little dream.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
something.
Bitcoin overall to me it might not replace the fiat system because the people in power are always going to stay in power and they're going to fight
Right.
hard to keep away.
Yeah.
So what I tell people is like, think of Bitcoin as that one that's going to make that hot girl do a head check.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm not the hottest girl here.
Right.
That's what Bitcoin is, because it takes that fiat system and it tells them, yeah, I can do it better.
Yep.
You want to piss me off? You really want to see if I can take your man?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it took me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, in the grand scheme of things, like, yeah, Bitcoin's complicated, but if you kind of sit down and think about it and kind of just read about it and just, be around it. And, to be around it is not that hard. Like the question I get asked all the time is like, where do I start? Okay. So what I tell people to start is like, if you are living paycheck to paycheck, don't start investing in Bitcoin. Figure out your financial system, like your get a budget or find a better job or figure out a way to make yourself more money.
You better have a emergency fund first.
Save 3 months, 4 months, 5 months.
This is the craziest thing to me is like, so I was an Eagle Scout, right? I loved Boy Scouts.
Yep.
It's funny because I got broccoli and then talked about all that stuff, and now I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm an Eagle Scout. But
Hey, it's 2021.
no one cares.
No.
Honestly, I can't wait till they legalize it.
Right.
But for now, I'm not doing it. But you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, I got the money saved, right? Because I see a lot of people my age that are like, they're spending all the money that they have on stupid shit.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but you don't need the newest game system. Just wait like a year. Like you see how much like an Xbox One is going for right now. They're dirt cheap.
Right.
Do you need it right now? Do you need that instant gratification?
Same
for most
with the
people,
iPhones and everything.
yeah. For most people, it's yes, and it's scary.
That's
to me.
the problem.
It's a want,
That's our
not a need.
society. I mean, and this has been going on for years and years, but marketing, we just talked about this yesterday because you're reading a book about finding your why.
Yep.
And how marketing works. And I mean, there's people paid large sums of money for every company out there that's got something to sell to figure out how to create that desire within you that you need it now.
Right.
Because there's no money made in giving you the desire, well, I might buy that in a year or two.
Well, our whole thing, we don't suffer. My generation, we haven't suffered enough. One,
No, I totally agree with that.
We haven't suffered near enough.
I'm sorry, but like when I like left the house, I went broke. Like I didn't have any money in my account. I didn't know where I was going to sleep. I didn't know where I was going to eat. I didn't know
That's real
anything.
struggle.
I was like, unless you live that or have lived that, I don't think you understand like how fragile being financially successful is. Like that, you could literally lose it all.
Yep.
It's like
And
raising
then-
pigs in the 90s.
Right, yeah. And then the other thing is we are on our phones. Everything that we do, all the information,
Instant.
we're getting tons of information thrown our way, and we're always, our attention span's so low. We're just scrolling. If it doesn't appeal to me, I scroll past it. If I want to look something up, I can instantly look it up. And we want the same thing with success. We want the same thing with, and we want to keep up with the times. We want to keep up with the Joneses. Everybody wants the new iPhone so they can go to school and say, I got the new iPhone. And it's not just school. It's gone past that. Like,
It's everything.
I want to have the newest car, bro.
I want the newest car so I can post it on my Instagram to get validation from all the people that follow me.
I sold all of my cool cars, all of them. That's the only vehicle I own is that 8th gen F-150.
Yep.
Because it keeps me humble.
Right.
Because I don't need it in the grand scheme of things. It got me here and it was fun.
Yep.
Like it was a rough ride, but who cares? It was fun.
Right.
But, with this instant gratification, this is what I tell people a lot is like, okay, you have your budget, you got extra money to spend, okay? Set an alarm on your phone. It can be every week. It could be every month. It could be every hour of the day if you really want. But what you're doing with that alarm is you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to take $20 at 9:30 at night on a Monday, and I'm going to go to Cash App, Binance, whatever you want. I'm going to buy Bitcoin.
Yep.
I'm just going to buy a little bit.
Yep.
Because a little bit adds up. And here's the thing, if you put in $20 now and it's 100,000, man, you made a lot of money off that $20.
Yeah, right.
So
Yep.
it's all about like, how can you, because you don't need to mine Bitcoin in the grand scheme of things. It makes my life a lot easier because I don't care what the price is.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
and
'cause you're just-
and that's what I hate is like a lot of people will like message me and be like, oh, Bitcoin price is down. You must be worried. It's like, homie, I'm like almost printing 1 Bitcoin a day. I don't care.
Right.
Yep.
Like, unless it went to 2,000 tomorrow, which
Well, and that's that mentality, because I'll take that example. Like, it's just like this mentality that we've gotten into with the financial world, the Robin Hood.
eat the rich, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. But people are always, they're day trading.
Yeah.
We're not buying companies. We're not buying stock in companies today because we know that company has got whatever it is, fill in the blank, and that they are going to be worth more in the future. We're not buying it because we know it's going to be worth more in the future. It's, we're going to ride the momentum. We're going to buy it today. We're going to sell it tomorrow. We're going to make a quick buck.
Yeah, that's how most people
Or whatever
are.
it is. I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to buy a house in Coralville, Iowa, because I know I can buy it today and I can flip it in 6 months and I can make this.
I can go buy something and then show it off to my friends.
It's so short. It's so short
and
term.
if you research and listen to people that are wealthy, and you look at the wealthiest people in the world, they're long-term thinking. They do not do that short flip shit. They don't. There's some successful real estate investors that flip houses, but I guarantee they got some long-term rentals that they're throwing
And
money into.
long-term investments.
Long-term investments. That short-sighted shit, you might be good at it, but
so
you need to invest. Bitcoin is one of these things that I truly believe today it's at this price, but
it doesn't
5
matter.
years, I think it's going to be here.
And it doesn't matter because I believe that eventually it is going to be. So Paul has a good point about this. He talks about it often, how everybody is very worried, or everybody puts a lot of stake in Bitcoin's worth this today.
Bro,
But-
you need to look past that.
Right, because when you say that, Bitcoin is worth what? It's worth this in fiat currency.
Yeah.
In the future, that may not even Bitcoin may not even be quoted in fiat currency. It'll just be worth what it's worth because the fiat currency may not be
Around anymore.
It may not be.
Well, this is kind of a crazy thing to think about, but do you honestly think, like the two of you, do you honestly think that the fiat system will ever go away? Because I don't.
No, I don't either.
I think it'll always be here. Like I said, it'll be.
Do you think it will go digital though, like fully digital?
Oh, bro, think how much money we would save if we weren't printing money.
Right.
Yep.
Think how many jobs would be lost. And I know that's a terrible thing to say, but think how many people that we employ at mints
Hauling.
money.
Yeah.
Like, think of all that industry that could go away. There's a lot of better things that they could do.
Think about, okay, so this is a good example because this is one that came up over El Salvador. If you're anybody at Western Union, you should probably be looking for another job
Yeah.
because the days of people from different countries, Western Union money back to their home country, all you have to do is look at El Salvador.
Use Bitcoin.
It's going to be done. That's going to be done.
The crazy thing is, like with the fiat system, like if I wanted to send some dude in China $4,000, it can take 4 days for a money wire internationally. Bitcoin, instant.
Yep.
See,
Pretty much.
that's where I think maybe we won't have the financial system that we do. Because
Here's why you'll
so fast. It's so fast, and I feel like our generation is so online, and we're going to move around, and we want to travel, and we want to do all these things, and we don't want to sit at a 9-to-5 job. More and more people are getting sick and tired of that shit.
It's the shared economy. So like that third industrial revolution thing on Vice, which we talked about Vice and blah, blah, blah. But I seriously think you should listen to it, because yes, capitalism is always going to be here to stay. People are always going to want that to stay, and I want it to stay. But there's going to be a shared economy eventually, because, everyone hoards everything for themselves. Yep. But is it really worth it? Like, is it really worth it if you keep like all the toys when you were a kid till the day you die?
Right. No. It's not much fun.
It's not much fun.
Yep.
But is it fun when you give away your toy and get a new toy?
Yep.
Oh, hell yeah. So eventually everything's going to be digitized. Like our power grids are going to be faster, which we talked about that earlier. Our internet's going to be faster. Everything's going to be connected. So at that point, what do people need to do to make money? It's content creation.
Yep.
How can you create content to consume for the mass of everything?
Yep.
That's what the future's going to be.
It's going to be
that, or we all die in a hellhole fighting over old dinosaurs cramped in the ground.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, I don't think we really touched on this, is there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin ever.
Yeah.
21 million.
Yeah, the
Bitcoins.
inflation side of it.
Because you can't print more Bitcoin, people. That's the great thing. That's one of the best selling points on Bitcoin.
And we should get into hash rate.
Right.
Because that's all tied together.
That thing right there alone is something that should sell you on Bitcoin. Is what the problem we have today is inflation. And the reason we have inflation is because our government continues to print shitload of money, and it just devalues
out of thin air.
And it devalues the shit out of our dollar.
Think how much money that they're wasting, by the way.
Right.
Like Elon Musk made that comment about like, oh, we use too much power. I did my research. You want to know something funny? Our gold reserves use more power than all the Bitcoin miners in the world. Our gold reserves.
Yep.
Where gold is just stored.
Right.
Yep. Nothing else.
21 million Bitcoin. That's it. That's the number it'll be, and it'll always stay that way.
Is it 21?
Yeah.
21 million.
That was 20.
No, hey, I know.
21.
21 million.
Well, okay, we go back to that. I want to say this because all of you know, if you've listened to one podcast or you listened to 10 of them, but I'm a pretty big fan of Tesla, and I think Elon Musk is a pretty smart cat. And for the most part, I think he's very thoughtful in what he said. However, don't ever forget when he made that comment about Bitcoin, I thought it was very odd how he got really hot and then really cold kind of quickly.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to fight him over that.
Yeah, I did too. But you got to remember, do you know who one of the biggest investors in Tesla is? BlackRock. And my guess is that when he made that comment and he got all giddy on Bitcoin, and that really started to take, I'll bet you someone at BlackRock called him up and said, we'd really like for you to tone that down a little bit because we're not quite ready for that. Yeah. I just found that very odd, and BlackRock is very involved in the politics of this country, and don't take my word for it. Do your own digging.
It's all about what we say.
Yeah.
Politicians are pawns. The people that run this country and the world are the richest people in the entire world. They control what the hell's going on.
I mean, I can't wait to be one of them. I'm going to tell them to all hit the road. You're fired. You've screwed it up for everyone that's been here for hundreds of years. Yeah. Not just in recent memory, hundreds of thousands of years we've been on this fiat system and it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you can take only one thing away from me being on here besides like talking about Bitcoin, is the fact that our fiat system doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like I say this over again, 2,000 years ago was the first time we did a financial bailout for banks. 2,000.
Still going.
And we haven't gotten any better at it.
at all.
Yep.
At all. And you know, what's the big cause of that? It's inflation. So, you know, we were trying to get to how does Bitcoin not inflate? And obviously the first thing is like, oh yeah, well, there's only 21 million that are ever going to be made, right?
Yep.
So
Can never inflate because they won't print more of it.
so here's the great thing, because people are like, oh, well, what happens when they all get mined, right?
There you go.
Well, we're going to be sending them back and forth. There's still going to be a ledger.
Yep.
I'm still going to be making money off that ledger
Yep.
for providing it. So, you know, a lot of people worry about that, but it's not the main issue. Because there's a few main issues with Bitcoin, and one is you know, I can't track who spends it, which is great. The anonymity is great, but there's a lot of nefarious things that are being done with Bitcoin to this day. And who knows what the next thing's going to be that people buy with Bitcoin. Like maybe there's a black market guy out there that's got a nuke and someone's going to buy it with Bitcoin, you know?
Right.
But going back to the inflation, because I'm like all over the place right now, with the inflation, you know, I don't see a way that the US dollar won't inflate to the point where we have to get rid of it, and that fiat system is going to change in some way. And I think it's going to be that digitized version that we talk about.
Right. Yeah, because the thing that the world governments really like about digital currency is, so we just went through a period where we had stimulus, where we just poured money into, which thank you for that, because you know what I did with my stimulus check?
Same.
I bought Bitcoin with it. So yeah, I was happy about that. But if you get to a digital dollar, digital fiat currency, as a government, you can be very smart about who you give that to, and you can put stipulations upon it, like, oh yeah, well you don't have the shot. Oh, you're not going to get any stimulus. Or you have an income of this, you're not going to get the stimulus. Or you live in this region, you're not going to get this stimulus. You can really drill down as to who.
That's why they like it.
That's why they like it, because if you get to that point and you have the data, you can be very specific about what demographic or how you want to use.
You can control it.
Yes. And it's all about control.
Right.
And then the other side of that's what they don't like about crypto is if they don't have the control of it.
Right.
So there's competing. I'm not sure how that's all going to sort out because there's competing.
The way I look at it is like when I'm buying Bitcoin now, and even if there is fiat currency and it's digital, I'm going to live off of. Like, I'm going to live off that fiat currency, right?
Oh,
right.
yeah.
And you know, we invest in real estate, and, you know, there's assets out there. And I'm going to hold Bitcoin as that asset because I think there's nothing, like, you can't put your fiat currency into something. Like, obviously, there's real estate. That's a good asset to hold. Farm grounds, good asset to hold. After that, a business, that's a good asset to hold your money in because you're going to get return on it. But the index S&P 500, how much of that's actually
Citibank? You don't want to buy some Citibank stocks?
If it's deflating and deflating and deflating and deflating, there's not really a whole lot of places you can put your money at. Right. So I feel like Bitcoin's a really good store of value because it's getting a good return. And if I'm in the future and I have Bitcoin and I'm wanting to go buy more farm ground, I'm not going to use my fiat currency. I'm going to use probably some of my Bitcoin and probably sell a little bit and buy. That's how I look at it.
Bitcoin is your hedge.
It's my hedge, and I think it's going to get to the point where, you know, it's bringing you such a good return that you can't really put it in anything else that's going to bring us such a good return.
Right.
You know, think about it. Like I said that, you know, Bitcoin's a $100 bill. Both of you decided that for yourselves on your own free will without even knowing me.
Yep. Right.
You know,
it's huge. If you do, we talk about
you
this
just
with
do
everything.
Your research, man.
Don't buy anything we tell you because hell, we don't know anything. We're just poor hog farmers from Southeast Iowa. But if the knowledge, it's all out there, and you can interpret it. You know, you might interpret what I read and what you read may not be this. You may not look at it the same way. But the important thing is that you read it, that you consume it, because if you do. It's self-responsibility. Hey, if you turn the page and you say, you know what, I'm not going to take what other people tell me at face value about anything, and I'm going to do my own research, my guess is you're going to come to a good conclusion for you, whatever that decision is about whatever that is. If you spend the time to invest in yourself and invest in learning for yourself, you're going to make the right decision, I feel like.
Yeah, just don't overdo it. That's the big thing.
At some point
you can go down some crazy rabbit holes,
right?
And then you'll end
you
up
gotta
being
try.
an
You
Alex
gotta know
Jones.
you gotta know the sources.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are. When someone's a genuine, like us right here, we're not selling you shit. We're not selling you shit. We're just dropping knowledge, and we're transparent with you guys. And you can take it at face value, or you can take what we say and think it's good knowledge. And there's a lot of people out there that are genuinely good people that are giving out free information. Dad listens to Real Vision. Raul Paul is a very, very smart man. He's been high on Bitcoin for a while, and Dad gets a lot of information from there. Doesn't sell Dad shit. Doesn't sell anybody shit. There's guys out there like that. Same with business, same with investing, same with crypto, everything. So dig and find your own shit. Okay.
Yeah.
What else do you want to know?
So we went kind of I think we did go ahead.
What do you guys think the Bitcoin price, because I love asking this question to people, is going to be in 2 years?
2 years.
And then a year, like this year, and then 6 months.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard
I'll
to
give
say.
you. I'll give you.
Go ahead.
I think that
I'm very high on it. I'm bullish on it, but
so we've had a lot of back and forth right now. We're just coming off of, we backed off and we came up, and I think that with where we are today, I think by the end of this year, I think we'll be about 75,000, 80,000 is what I think. I think a year from today, we'll be over $100,000 a year from today.
Okay.
I don't think we'll be $200,000. When you get out there a ways, there's so much.
How
that can
about
happen
after Biden's terms up? What do you think? What do you think it'll be?
Okay, well, I'll just say this.
If they get the Green New Deal done, and they print $4 trillion, I think it's going to go 250,000 or above.
Well, do you realize that like that Green New Deal, like with wind energy and renewable energy, like helps our industry?
It does.
And it helps the price of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like that's the crazy thing is like wind power and renewable energy goes hand in hand with Bitcoin because that power is being created. It can't be stored. So who's going to use it? Me.
Kind of my problem with throwing out a number, like
it's hard.
It's so hard. But the other thing is that you're still equating that back to what the dollar is. So on the one side of that equation, you have what does somebody think Bitcoin is worth to accumulate? But then on the other side, how bad are we devaluing the dollar? So the more we devalue the dollar and the more perceived value Bitcoin has, the wider that gets. So could it be $500,000? People are like, oh, it'll never, that's crazy. Well, yeah, it could be, because if a greater and greater percentage of people that normally are invested in currency go, holy shit, this currency is trash, and they migrate to crypto.
Well, what's going to do
the gold? Use the gold analogy.
What's going to do it is when you go to the freaking grocery store and you buy the same shit you buy every week, and then instead of it being $150, it's fucking $250, $300
for your grocery
and your
bill.
Gas is my truck right now. It's a gas burner.
My truck
right now.
Let's talk about gas.
Yeah.
HN F-150.
I spend about $98 on gas right now.
Yeah.
And if this, Green New Deal passes and inflation goes the way it's going right now, I could be spending up to $200 on gas, $150 on gas. And when that happens, people are going to be like, whoa, dude, what the hell do I do? And I think a lot of people are going to find it. They're going to find this Barn Talk podcast, and they're going to freaking watch it and learn something.
Yeah. Hopefully they save the Bitcoin, spend the Ethereum, though.
Yes, right. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. So my long-term bet on Bitcoin is it'll be way higher. 5 years from now, it's going to be worth a hell of a lot more than what it is today. I don't see any case scenario long term that is worth less than what it is today.
I also think another thing, if El Salvador is flourishing and then Nigeria adopts it and it's flourishing, and then other third world countries go, wait a minute, they're doing something pretty different, and that seems to be working. And then the World Bank's like, oh shit, these third world countries are about to rise up, and we can't really do shit about it. And then I think people are, and that's the other thing I wanted to say, like, a lot of people in the U.S. don't realize, like you said, a woman in Afghanistan saw Bitcoin and she needed it. That was her way out.
Yeah, that was her way out.
We're flourishing right now. Most people in other countries
are not,
and they use Bitcoin because they know it's their only way out. For us in the U.S., we're not adopting it as much because we're good. We're good right now. Yeah. We do have clothes on our back. We do have a way out. We got a good job, So there's a lot of countries that are taking it and using it to get out of their situation.
There is a huge difference between when you talk about adoption, that example you gave, that was out of necessity.
Yeah.
So as we sit here, our adoption of Bitcoin was opportunity. Like, it wasn't necessity. Now, if I'm smart, I can look at it and say at some point it's going to be necessity. But the reason that I got into Bitcoin was I saw an opportunity.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting in Nigeria, you're sitting in Afghanistan, or you're sitting somewhere in Africa, and it's the difference between you being able to
put food on the table or
buy and sell goods, whatever it is, feed relatives, whatever, and necessity, the adoption rate, it's totally different.
It's going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
And that adoption rate is what causes the the Bitcoin price to go up, right?
Yep.
Because people ask me like, oh, what really affects it, and I'm like, you and everybody else just uses it, it goes up.
Yep.
It just works.
Right.
If you do the thing, it just works.
Yeah. Do you got any idea where the transaction volume is today?
No idea.
I don't either. I should have checked Pomp, because Pomp keeps up on that.
One thing I wanted to clear up is, like you were saying, we were explaining the whole blockchain. So you, as the miner, mine the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So explain the mining process and then how it goes on to the blockchain, because I think you covered it a little bit, but I think we need to get a little bit in the mining.
Okay. So the Asic Miners, right, are connected to the internet. Everybody's basically connected to the internet. All the other mines in the world are connected to the internet. They're all talking to each other, right? Okay. So, we're like, okay, there's a transaction, and I'm speaking for the processor right now. The processor and the Asic miner is like, okay, there's a transaction. I got 10 minutes to figure this out before anyone else in the world gets it. Because that's the thing, like, people think like, oh, like, everybody makes Bitcoin. And it's not the deal. Like, my chances are higher because I have a shit ton of machines. Like,
right.
our power bill is $3,500 a day. So, so yeah, it blows my mind every day. But to the one person that's like sneaking the miner in their workplace at Facebook, and they're not going to have that big of a return. They're not going to see 0.7, and that's because we have a higher chance because there's more processors working because of the terahash. Yep. Right. So the terahash is how we measure the processing power of the device. So like I said earlier, like a terahash is 33 cents. That 33 cents has value because of its processing power. That terahash has 33 cents because of its processing power to be able to keep the ledger updated and working. And so, that one processor gets the block solved, right? He's got the ledger, he sends it out. Well, the next ledger is going to be needed to be done. And so it gives everybody an opportunity to be able to mine Bitcoin. I don't think Satoshi would approve of big Bitcoin mines, but someone's got to do it.
It's the logical conclusion.
Yeah, someone's got to do it, and someone's got to make money off of it.
So pretty much these computers are just trying to solve this ledger, and once they figure it out, they send it on the blockchain, they confirm it.
Yeah.
So every block, one what do I want to say? One miner is going to solve that block.
Yeah, it's not all of them.
One.
Communicating
It's one.
So
because,
each one's trying to figure one.
Yeah.
It's a
different
race.
out.
Yeah,
It's a race.
yeah. Because that terahash is like only basing its value off of it if it solves the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your chances go up. That's why it's 33 cents, is because like if you have a lot of terahash, like that 33 cents is going to add up really quick.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Because your chances are higher.
Okay, well, we would be shunned if we didn't talk about what you're actually doing, like what your guys' purpose is. Because all of these machines that you are managing, that you are taking care of, they're not all your own.
No.
Am I right?
No.
What is your model? So what is your model? We should just explain to people what you're doing. And kind of what your model is.
Yeah, so it's JP's vision, right?
Yep.
I told him when I started, I'll help your dreams come true, right? So we have a Bitcoin mine, right? We'll have, so much space for our own machines. And then the rest of it is open, right? It's open season.
Yep.
So
listen up. This is your opportunity. Break the piggy bank.
yeah, break the big freaking piggy bank. We'll rent that space out to you. It's like, okay, well, you're not going to have the knowledge that I have to work on these machines.
Right.
Nor are you going to find the people to be able to work on those machines, because we're having a hell of a problem right now with that.
Yeah.
Right. So, you'll join in. You'll come to a pool, which is essentially just like putting all that processing power together for the benefit of the people that are a part of it. Okay. So we'll bring those people in, we'll get their miners, we'll get them running. I know we guarantee like 95% uptime, which makes my life a lot harder.
Yep.
Every day, every holiday, it's just hard work.
Right.
So, those guys come in, they bring the money with them. They own their miners. They're just in our mine. They're paying rent for, the power. They're paying rent for the expertise of the techs. And then they're also paying into like other funds. So like we use an escrow fund to be able to like buy replacement parts. So like if you were a part of the I think it's called what we use is called the MMP clients, Managed Mining Program clients.
Yep.
If you were a part of the Managed Mining Program clients, some of that money is going to go into an escrow fund. That escrow fund buys control boards, power supplies, fans.
Everything
So-
to keep the system running.
Keep the system running and keep the blockchain going.
So how much does the person that invests, like how much a percentage do they give to you guys to keep the mine running?
So I don't look at those numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. But I would have to guess like most of the people are putting in 200K, and I can see how much Bitcoin they're making. And I'm going to be honest with you. Some of these people are like getting $1 million returns in their first year, and they haven't had a full year.
Yep.
And it's kind of hard for me to sit there and be like, holy crap.
Right.
These guys
So
should
do you think-
love me.
So do you think that it's like a 10%, you guys like take 10% off? 20%?
It's hard to say.
I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
And you're probably adjusting that on an annual. I mean, because once you figure out obviously as the farm grows, your expense of taking care of everything, and as the miners age, your expense goes up.
Yeah.
So you have to adjust whatever that is. But then, so as the coin is mined,
Yeah.
then that coin is transferred to an exchange. Is that right?
Yep.
And then, so if you invest X number of dollars, whatever that is, which gives you this many miners.
Yep.
Then the return on that you make minus what your
Cost or fees are going to be. Yeah.
that goes to an exchange, and then once it's on the exchange, it's yours to do with what you want. So
Yeah.
if you want to
Sell it.
leave it and diamond hands, I can't make my diamond point, diamond hands, or you want to spend it, you can you can do
Totally
whatever
up to
you
you.
want with it once it's
Yeah.
done.
So like, to anybody out there that has a lot of big money, I'm going to be honest with you. Paying the rent is not worth it in the grand scheme of things, because now I'm the middleman for you. And that's not the goal of Bitcoin.
Right.
You shouldn't have a middleman, right? The goal is that you figure out a way to build your own.
Yep.
And it's hard. It's expensive. It's a lot of time. And, eventually you'll be able to get that financial freedom away from that middleman, because at the end of the day, like some days I still feel like I'm the middleman in the fiat system.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm the guy making money off of you.
Right.
Making money.
But there's a huge amount of people that they might have the means, but they definitely don't have the knowledge to make it work.
And
they don't have the ambition either.
Yeah, and that's where we come in, because like we also do a program where we'll build mines for people, and that's my favorite kind of stuff.
Yep.
Because then I get to be like, oh, this is how we do it. This is how it's going to be sterile. This is how it's going to be so nice.
Yeah, you can build it the way that you would ideally like to have it.
And I can't get into too much detail, but let's just say there's going to be a really, really, really big mine, and I can't wait to tell you guys to come visit it.
In the state of Iowa?
No.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately not.
That is too bad.
I really want it to be in the state of Iowa.
Do you feel like Iowa is in a good place to do that as far as our energy cost?
Yeah. Like, why, it's a great state for it, because, why else would Microsoft and Facebook be here?
Same reason.
They use a lot of power. But what you don't know is that Facebook, their power is totally free and paid for by the taxpayer.
Because they gave him that incentive to come.
I didn't get.
Can I get that if I build a mine?
I know, right? Can we get that incentive? I guess we're not big enough.
That would make it very much more profitable if I could get the state of Iowa to give me an incentive.
How much does one miner cost? Or does it vary kind of?
It varies with what model, right? So
the best one.
So the best one. So we're talking the big mama jamma, the Ferrari.
Mama jamma.
Yeah.
The Ferrari of Bitcoin mining. I would have to say, like, out of the machines that we have on our site would be an S19 Pro 110 terahash. They're pretty good. Not gonna lie. They have their problems, right? Their machines are made in China. Yep. There's no like quality control at all. I've got miners that are absolute crap, and I've had to like fix in the barn.
Yeah.
With just a soldering gun in my knowledge.
Yeah.
Rough estimate on your most common miner that you guys get. What's the price?
I think around like 7,000.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Some of them are like 10. I could sell you an S9 like today for like $200 if you want one. But it's you're paying for the generation and more or less paying for the hash rate and the terahash.
The newest obviously is the fastest, but it's not necessarily the most durable.
No.
And as you say, it's kind of luck of the draw. You might get one that works perfectly out of the box, or you might get one that is going to work into your fund, because you're going to have to try to rework it to get it running.
And it's terrible. Like, I really wish that, there'd be a company out there that would take on the task of making these, more rugged, and make my job easier. Because I'd love to, put my feet up and lay down on a couch and just watch the bank account go up. But that's not how it is.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit. Like, what were the biggest startup problems and growing pains, and what does kind of your day look like running a Bitcoin farm? Like most common things, all that stuff.
Okay, so I got to start with the day before. Okay, the day before I wake up. So I'll go home. I'll do my own stuff, mostly iRacing. And then before I go to bed, I'll take our management app and I'll, go through and I'll look at our whole site as a whole. And I'll be like, okay, well, we got 30 machines down. We need to change that tomorrow, like ASAP, because there's a lot of people with a lot of money that are going to be really upset if they're not running. Yep. And I don't want to trash my name through the ground, because I want to be the best guy that's ever done this.
Right.
I want to be the guy that everyone goes to and is like, that guy knows how to Bitcoin mine.
Yep.
Because my boss isn't a Bitcoin miner
Right.
at this point.
Right.
He was. So, I do my restart. I go to bed. I wake up. My alarm goes off at about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not very happy, but it's got to be done.
Yep.
And no one else is going to do it. So, I wake up, kind of get out of bed, motivate myself. And the big motivation is race car, obviously. Yep. So every day I just kind of like envision when I'm driving to work, what it'll feel like to like finally win a NASCAR race or just enter one.
Yeah.
So I get to work, I go inside, and the first thing I do is a walkthrough. It could be negative 12 degrees out. It could be 100 degrees out. I got to walk all the way around the site. I look at every miner, 1,100 of them every day, and make sure they're running. And if I see ones that aren't running, I'm like, okay, well, that's the area that I looked at on Foreman the day before. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the area that we got to work on today. Why is it overheating? Because there's no, dummies manual for what I do at all.
Right.
Like nothing. So, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's airflow. Maybe it's getting too hot. So, I'll go through that and I'll go back to my little office inside of our old camper that we don't make meth in.
Yeah.
Definitely looks like we're out of Breaking Bad in it.
It does.
It's
100%.
It's cool.
I love it. Hopefully one day we'll get to renovate the inside and kind of make it really cool. Hopefully do a podcast in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Cool.
You guys can come out there and do one on site.
Hell yeah. I like that. I'm down. I'm totally down.
But I go back into my office and I look at my service tickets from our customers. And the big thing that like I want to do is be able to be, transparent as like Bitcoin is to them with what's going on. So a lot of the times I try to make tickets before the customer does. It doesn't always work out. There's a lot of machines to work on, right?
Right.
So, I go through my Jira feed, kind of, look at what everyone's got, and then another hour passes by, and then all my staff comes in. I come in hours before anyone else comes in because I need to figure out what they need to do.
Right.
And, I kind of figure out what they need to do. And then they all come in. I try to motivate them. I try to stay as positive as I can, even when the day sucks. Like I try to make sure the guys never see me without a smile.
Right. Yeah.
Because,
you're leading them.
Yeah, I got to lead them. I gotta lead them through the fire. And a lot of my guys, to be honest with you, one of my guys did wood veneer. One of the guys that I just got rid of, which was really hard for me. He's a good kid, but goddamn, he's not made for it. And we had to get rid of him, obviously. But he just came fresh out of high school, and was doing it. He was a Bitcoin miner, man. My network admin guy, he's an interesting fella. He's kind of been all around the place and worked for himself, and now he works for me. My lead tech for more circuitry kind of stuff and more in-depth miner stuff. He was an insurance adjuster.
Yep.
So
a lot of different backgrounds.
A lot of different backgrounds, and we were never the popular kids. We're all misfits, bro.
Yeah,
and it's great. Every day I get to work with like all my friends, and they've all become my friends.
Yep.
And we just hired on one of my buddies from North Carolina. We met on iRacing. We were huge race fans.
That's awesome.
I just hired him on, and yesterday he came to me and he's like, man, I don't know if I can do this. And this is before his first day. His first day is today, and I'm not there, which is kind of funny, but we'll fix that. But he's like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I work on race cars. I don't work on these. And I told him, I was like, it's all logical thinking at the end of the day. If you have a brain and you can use your hands to work on something, you can do this. And like, the big thing for me now is like, how can I find more people to do what I do?
Yep.
How can I find more people that want to be in negative 20-degree winters,
hot
summers, busting their ass,
loud
but
buzzing noise,
never ever running out of work, ever.
Yep.
And if they do, man, we did a good job.
You did a great job.
Because like the whole point of being an IT tech at the end of the day is to work yourself out of a job.
Yep.
That's the whole job.
Yep.
And that's what I love about it.
Yep. Yeah, your biggest problem is labor, you would say.
Yeah. I mean, we went from like 200 or so machines when I got there, right? And I started
Holy cow.
And I started making like the TikToks. And, eventually we met the squad and those guys, which awesome dudes. I love their content. So definitely check them out. But, we brought in all these customers off of my TikTok and off of like social media, right? And it started to, more and more and more and more machines. And, it was just me.
You're a victim of your own success.
Yeah, it was just kind of me for a few weeks after our other guy left. And I got to tell you what, it was so hard.
Felt like being on a sinking ship.
Bro, I lost my mind. Like I remember one day I got so mad. I was punching the side of the camper and there's a huge hole in it. and I'm not gonna lie. I look at that hole every day, and I'm like, we're never gonna be like that. We're gonna get the best techs. We're gonna get the best stuff. We're gonna give them the best equipment to work on these machines. We're gonna give them everything they can to succeed. Right. It's just if they want to be motivated.
Yeah. Right.
And I learned a lot. I can't say that like firing someone, you learn something, but I definitely learned that.
No, you do.
Man, if you're not motivated, like don't even send me a job application.
Right.
Yep. I want someone who wants to eat, breathe, and shit Bitcoin mining. Because if you ain't about it, you ain't about it. Like, yeah, I'm about racing, but like I didn't grow. I'm not
That's how you're gonna get.
I'm not Dale Earnhardt's son.
Right.
I'm not anybody's notable son. I'm just a white dude from Iowa that just happens to like racing and is somewhat decent at it.
Yeah.
And I mine Bitcoin.
Right.
By the way, I mine Bitcoin.
That might be the catalyst.
So, over everything that I've done with the mine and stuff, like the one thing is like that I take away from it is if you dream hard enough and you work hard enough, it'll happen.
Yep.
100%. It's just that instant gratification that we talked about earlier. It's never going to happen.
Nope.
And I got a brain, I got ADHD. So I got a brain that's functioning, and my dopamine receptors in my brain will not give me the gratification that someone without ADHD gets.
It's hard for you.
It's harder for me.
Yeah.
And I will admit there's some days that I'm like all over the place, and I'll be like working on a machine, and then I'll go run over and be replacing filters, or there'll be a day that I'm like, man, I need like 10 sheets of insulated like foam board. And I got this and this and this. And then all of a sudden it's like I'm in the truck driving to Menards to go get the insulation board.
But it almost caters to that, doesn't it? In the fact that there's so much going on that...
Do you feel fulfilled now?
No. I won't feel fulfilled until I come back here in 5 years with Daytona 500 trophy on this table.
I am ready for that.
That is the only time I will ever be fulfilled. And like if I don't reach it, okay, but like
at least you tried.
At least I fucking tried.
Right.
We're putting together a mod light. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of IMCA racing, but they kind of race all over the country because we're looking at like a bunch of different cars that I wanted to make, right? And I was like, well, we need something that's a good base, gives us a good, beginning stuff. And it's just like the mine. Like we build out decent and it'll work. So we're looking at a car, and the mod light, eventually it'll breed itself into hopefully a late model or a sprint car, and we'll give Kyle Larson a run for his money. And then, eventually it'll turn into an ARCA car or a truck, and we'll give someone else a run for their money. And then hopefully eventually it'll be a cup car.
Okay. So where do you see this going as far as, China, they tried to stand, they're like, now it depends on the day, but as of today, they're pretty like, we're done. There's a bunch of these miners, they put them out of business, and all that mining is migrating. Is the United States the big winner in that, or is it pretty universal around the world?
Everybody.
Everybody.
You know, that's a lot of miners offline, and it sucks for these Chinese miners because I'm gonna admit, like they do just as much as work, as I do.
Yep.
And their hands are just as dirty as mine. You know, they put in the work and they do it. And it's kind of unfortunate that because of their government wanting control of their people and what they do, what they say, what they know, they're going to take away that financial freedom. Of course they are, because they want that power. Like that's
Control.
That's just part of being China,
Yep.
right? America, on the other hand, I don't think that will necessarily outlaw it. But I think maybe in the future that those middlemen and in the pawns and the big game of things are going to decide, you know what, we need to put a tax on these people. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'll probably be arrested for tax evasion because I'm not paying them a goddamn dime.
Yeah.
They weren't there when it was on Christmas, when I spent all day in a camper in the middle of Christmas hoping that the power would go over what the minimum peak was so that I could turn off the site and go home and eat ham and watch the Christmas Story.
Right.
But where I see Bitcoin going is not necessarily replacing the fiat, right? Where I see it is that it kind of gives a whole new market to people to be able to do what they want and be free, like truly free. Because, with the transparency that's there, that's true freedom, is knowing what everyone else knows.
Yep.
And just taking it for what it is. So, I mean, I see Bitcoin in a year from now, maybe 75, maybe 100,000, right? But I see Bitcoin 10 years from now, a lot more.
Yep.
In 2140, I think Bitcoin's going to be about $2-3 million a Bitcoin.
Holy cow. Sorry, you might be able to get me that swivel
2140?
koozie. 2140? Yeah.
You're gonna be alive still.
Why, heck yes. A few trips to Panama, and now that Michael Jackson's gone, I bought his hyabolic. What did he sleep in? That
Hyabolic sleeping chamber.
Yeah. Between that, clean living, some stem cells, I think I could pull it off.
You got to
Be
do
all right.
that sensory deprivation tanks. I did one of those like recently.
Oh yeah, like Rogan has one of them.
All the stress. I thought Joe Rogan was full of shit. Honestly, like sitting in a bathtub with no lights. Yeah, okay.
Do
But-
it, and it's insane.
Oh, it's insane. It's great.
We got to get one.
Yeah, we probably should.
If you guys get one, I'll be here every day. I'll be here. I'll be here every Wednesday for my soak.
Awesome.
One thing I wanted to ask you, just we're going to wrap it up here soon, but a buddy of mine is in crypto, and we are wondering this too. What hardware wallet do you recommend people buy if they're wanting to get keys to their crypto? Because a lot of people don't understand. They buy crypto
On an exchange.
They don't understand that. So explain that a little bit, and what do you recommend?
I don't recommend any of them.
Okay.
I don't recommend having a physical token, I guess.
Okay.
Right. What I recommend to people is figure out, what you use the most. Do you use your phone? Do you use your PC? Do you use your laptop? Okay. Get a wallet on there, and then make sure that you have a way of two-phase authentication to be able to get into it.
Yep.
Also, get a hard drive, put it on there, and lock it up in either a security
Safe.
box or a safe or somewhere where you know it, and make sure you have the password encrypted on there, and you can take an de-encryption tool and de-encrypt it if you ever forget, and just if you don't understand how to do that, have someone explain you, write it out so you know how to do it, and then just do it. Because, there's horror stories of people losing a lot of Bitcoin. And,
There's a lot of Bitcoin that is lost.
Yeah. And
Crazy.
I might have to go to the New York, trash sanitary station. Cause I think, one lady was doing a guesstimate that there's probably $32 to $42 million worth of Bitcoin in just the dump alone in New York City.
Oh, wow.
In hard drives or whatever e-waste is there.
That's insane. What? Yeah, don't do that, guys.
Don't
Don't
ever
do that.
it.
So you recommend getting it off the exchange
Yeah.
and putting it in those things that you said.
Put it on an online wallet.
An online wallet that you can, get access to.
That you can back up to a hard drive.
Honestly, I really like Cash App. I'm gonna be honest.
I use Cash App.
I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a lot of money on Cash App and Bitcoin in my phone right now, and I bet the Cash App guys are really excited that I just gave them a big.
Well,
plug,
that's what I mean. The majority of mine is on Cash App.
They make it so easy.
Yep.
So like what I tell people, like along with buying Bitcoin, like just buy it on Cash App. Don't buy it on Robinhood. Those guys are fucking thieves and scum of the world, especially with like the GameStop stuff. Like I wanted to get into that eventually, but yeah, just another reason why you shouldn't trust the middlemen that control money, because they'll fuck you over every time they get a chance.
Yep.
Because if you make money, they're not making money.
Right.
Yep.
Like, why do you think the whole stock market was designed to be complex so normal people like you and us could not understand it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But, I think end goal for Bitcoin is really to be a free market for everyone to be able to use. And if you want to use it, great. If you don't want to use it, great. I don't judge anyone for not using Bitcoin or not wanting to invest in Bitcoin, but I strongly urge them to. Even if it's like $20 that you put in and you're like, okay, well, I put my money in Bitcoin.
So you think
done.
it should be in everybody's portfolio even a little bit?
Yeah, I honestly
strongly recommend.
Yeah, I strongly recommend. I honestly think they should be teaching about Bitcoin in schools, like in making kids question, like, why are we using this system compared to this system? Or maybe we should change it or make a hybrid of both, right?
Right.
Because some of the greatest inventions in the world come from the outsiders, and
Asking questions, not
asking
knowing.
questions and not knowing. Like Satoshi is definitely an outsider, and no one really knows who he is. But holy shit, he just like printed a document, and now I'm here talking about it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you think? I think one last thing I wanted to throw in there. Do you think people like? I get a question like, "Who invented Bitcoin? And can he just take it all?
No.
Can he just like take it all? Can you hit a button and it's gone? We're screwed."
Obviously, they haven't read what he wrote, because if you read what he wrote, it's yours.
Yep.
Right. The only like gray area where I'm like kind of afraid is like, I don't know who that guy is. Like,
Right.
I've heard theories on who the guy is. I've kind of done some research into the. So there's a community of people, and so this is assumptions, not facts, but I think they're pretty accurate. So there's like a freaks groups, and those people are all about like, how do we make ourselves more free? So he was a part of that movement in San Francisco, because a lot of people have traced back a lot of the stuff that he's done to San Francisco. So I think he was in that movement and was like, man, fuck the US dollar, fuck all this crap that isn't working. I'm going to make this. And it caught on, because that freak movement is really about security and freedom.
Yep.
Which are two great things. I love security and freedom.
Absolutely.
But, in the end, we might never know who that is. But do we truly need to know who invented the wheel or who invented the automobile to like enjoy
The benefits.
what it's given us?
100%. That's a good way to put it right there. That would shut up people that ask. That was good. That was really good. Well, Magnus, we really appreciate you coming on the pod, man. This was one of the best talks we've had. Best guests, one of the best guests by far.
Thank you.
We love talking about Bitcoin. We loved visiting the Bitcoin farm, and we're definitely going to try to sell some $high corn this year, so we can maybe get into
Picking up cans,
doing everything we can.
You guys don't have to do it. And like I said, like, you can do it yourselves. Like, all the tools are out there on the internet to work on these machines.
Yep.
It's just if you want to do it.
We appreciate you
coming
on the show. Hope you had a good time. I think we got a lot of value out of it. And we'll see you guys back here next Friday. Have a good week.